So if you're experiencing this kind of loop of survival, so you're constantly just trying to keep your head above water, you're working really hard and you put in a lot of effort and energy, and you just can't seem to get yourself out of psychological, emotional, and circumstantial survival, or you are creating results in your life and you are getting some of the results you want, but it's like you just can't reach your potential. You feel it and you see it, but you just can't seem to get past where you're at. You're like at a glass ceiling and you're unable to break through and go any further. It doesn't matter how hard you work, how much you try, how much you vision it, different actions you take, working on yourself, doing your mindset thing, the whole thing. Those two scenarios, whether we are looping in the survival loop or whether we are, working really hard and we're getting some results, but it's not quite where we want to be, you want to understand this. You have a mode of operating, a default mode of operating. And inside that default mode of operating are two things that drive that default mode of operation subconsciously, and it runs you in your life. And the two things that are within there that most people don't necessarily shine a light on are your coping mechanisms, your coping strategies, and what we call your strong suit. A lot of people look at their beliefs and their thoughts and their actions, and those are obvious and important and they're vital. But this shadow where we don't often look and we don't often see is having a huge impact. So when you can look at your coping strategies and you can look at your strong suit and you see how the two are playing together, you will see exactly why it has you capped at a glass ceiling. We're going to dive into all this and much more in this episode so you can understand how you're functioning as a human being, where your point of power exists for understanding that and fine-tuning it. Because when you make an adjustment to the way that you operate in your life, you make it conscious, not subconscious. You adjust your coping strategies. You lean into your strong suit in a different way. You're going to get better results in all the different areas of your life. You can come out of the survival loop or out from underneath the glass ceiling, break through and start thriving.
You're listening to Practical Spirituality with B, the podcast with spiritual advice for your everyday life, helping you align with your soul so you can live with purpose, fulfillment, and magic. I'm Bernadette Logue. You can call me B, and I'm excited to share this episode with you.
Welcome to today's podcast episode. I'm delighted to be here sharing this with you. This has come out of a really fascinating conversation I had the other day with someone where we both saw our own previous default modes of operation, what I call your modus operandi, and how it had run our lives and the difference it made when we had a breakthrough in this area. So I thought that I would bring this to you in an episode because it is really game changing when you understand what is default driving you in your life. And this is like the shadow, the I don't know that I don't know. Right? How are you meant to create change if there's something you can't see and there's I don't know that I don't know it, and yet it's running me? So we all have a mode of operation, right? And it's wired into us. And the reason we call it default is because you didn't choose it. And until such time as you awaken to it and you do choose it, then it's no longer your default. Then it's your soul aligned, amazing strategy for life. Okay. Now, we all are here because we want results. So, yes, we're interested in spirituality and psychology, but you're really here listening because you want something. You want a better outcome in some area of your life: health, fitness, well-being, weight, healing, mindset, emotional freedom, relationships, love, intimacy, money, finances, lifestyle, success, whatever it is that rocks your boat, whatever it is that you need at this time in your life. And your way of operating, your mode of operating, it is going to have already given you some level of functionality in your life. And it's going to have worked for you to a certain degree to get you where you are now. because you are alive and you are here and you are somehow functioning to some degree of fluidity, right? You might not like things in your life. You might feel really stuck. It might not be feeling good. You might be feeling in survival mode. But to some degree, you've gotten yourself to this age and stage of your life. So something about your default mode of operating has worked for you to a degree for survival, for coping, for getting through, and for a lot of people, actually getting you a certain level of results and success. You can see some blessings, you can see some things you've achieved and created, and that's good. But in both scenarios, you know that there's more and you don't want to be A, in survival mode, and B, just stuck under a glass ceiling, kind of, this is what I'm capable of and that's all, and I can't seem to get anything else going on, right? So it's like, how do I level up my life? How do I expand the things I'm able to create and experience and achieve and receive? And to level up your life, you have to level up yourself, because your life is just you. Your life is just an outpicturing of you. And it's painful to acknowledge that. I didn't like hearing that. But the fact is, it is. We create our lives, and there's a lag time effect in the outer 3D world to this default mode of operating that we have. Now, I talk a lot in this community about our beliefs, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our point of attraction, and the results that we get, which is our inside out way of creating our equation for creation. But I'm going to talk to you about two other things that are going on inside our unconscious, subconscious patterning and conditioning, which we've not talked about before, to have you look at it with new light. Okay. Now, the reason I said to you that your default mode of operating within you is getting you a certain level of functionality and success is because that's how it flies under the radar. Because it actually does work to a certain degree to keep you alive, to keep you functioning. But it doesn't help you thrive, and it will not take you to your high potential. It will not take you to high performance. It will not take you to your highest level of spiritual evolution, your spiritual enlightenment, and you being able to be the most incredible version of yourself in this life, or having a little or a lot more of any of the things that you want. Okay, it won't take you beyond. So the old saying goes, right? What got you here won't take you there. So your default mode of operating got you where you are now. It got you who you are being now, and it got you what you have in your 3D life right now. Now, if that is satisfactory to you, great, you're good. If that is not satisfactory to you, it is not negative to say that's not satisfactory to me. It is called being an expansive being and saying, I am not willing to tolerate survival mode while I'm walking on this planet for my one precious life, or I'm not willing to tolerate less than what I know I'm capable of. I want to experience everything life has to offer that I can create, achieve, and receive. So here are the two things that are going on inside your default mode of operating and how they are impacting your outer life. The first one is your coping strategies. Put really bluntly and simply, when we are little, stuff happens and we are looking for how to survive and how to be good and how to protect ourselves and how to fit in and how to get by. And we develop automatically, without really any conscious choice, we develop coping mechanisms to help us do that. At a deep level, all that we're interested in when we're little is, how do I get loved? How do I be accepted and safe? How do I get by? And our little mind and our brain and our body and our nervous system are scanning our environment, and we're trying to figure out how to do that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, we end up adding things up and we develop these coping strategies. Now, I'll give you examples about all of this in a moment, but our coping strategies are perfect for us when we're 2 years old. And they're perfect for us when we're 5 years old. And they're perfect for us when we're 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And then there comes a point where they are no longer perfect, because They were designed to get you through. And when you become an adult, you're like a computer system. You need to upgrade your software. What served you then is not going to serve you now, because you are no longer 2, you are no longer 5, you are no longer 10 years old. You are no longer living in those environments, dealing with those situations, dealing with those people. But nobody told your subconscious. Nobody told your nervous system. Nobody said, hey, did you know that your inner programming is being driven by a coping strategy that got concretely set in place when you were little, and everything through your life is being run by that, and it helps you to get by, and it helps you to feel safe, and it helps you to avoid things that don't feel good, and it helps you to do survival. But you are not here for survival. If we aim for survival, we'll get survival. If we aim for thriving, we go through survival and out the other side. Right. Don't aim low, aim high to get where you want to go. So the coping strategies are outdated, is the point. But nobody told the deeper part of our mind and our body and our nervous system. And so it keeps running on the old loop. Meanwhile, you have a different vision for your life. And those coping strategies don't match the vision. If you've got a vision for like an expansive, loving relationship and freedom and independence and success and whatever it is that you want, and you're running a stay small, stay safe coping strategy from like 40 years ago, it just doesn't match. We have to upgrade. Okay. Now, going back to what these are like, let's use some examples. I'm going to give you 2 examples. I'm going to give you mine from my childhood and how it's affected my life, because it's a really easy one to talk about. And I'm going to give you one other example, a made-up example, because it's a not uncommon one. So my experience growing up, and I did not realize this until like well down my personal growth and spiritual path. Okay, so no idea this is going on when I'm little. I grew up in a really loving home, and there was a lot going on. There were a lot of people. Both my parents were really hardworking. They were always doing their jobs and handling all the people. There was always like 6, 7, 8 people in our household. It was busy. It was loud. There was a lot. And I was pretty sensitive. And I have a distinct memory of feeling like things were a little chaotic. And a distinct sensation when I look back and connect with my child self of feeling and thinking, who is in charge? Who is in charge? If dad's not here because he's busy working, we had a farm. I grew up on a farm, and he's such an amazing human, and he would be working and doing all the things for us. And mum was so dynamic, and she had all these awesome different jobs that she did and self-employed businesses, and she was always doing her thing. And then I have like lots of siblings, and we have exchange students. We had a cousin living with us, and it was all just filled with laughter and joy and a lot going on. But for some reason, my little self was like, this feels a bit chaotic. Things feel a little out of control. Who's in charge here? And an underlying sense of I don't feel particularly safe. Then there was a death in the family of one of my siblings. And that was just like fuel on the fire of things are chaotic, things are out of control, no one's in charge, and this isn't safe. Okay, now that's the setup. Now, what did my deeper mind and body do to cope? Okay, we're looking for the coping strategy. Well, I decided that I would control everything that I could possibly control, because if I can control it, it can't go wrong. And if I can control it, then I'm safe. So control became my coping strategy. Managing the outer environment and managing anything that I could get my hands on in order to feel okay. Okay, so that's the coping strategy. Now, that coping strategy helped me to avoid things, avoid risk, stay safe. It helped me to get by in my life. It helped me to manage a lot of details, and it helped me to not only survive, but it did actually help me get results in some areas of my life. But guess what? It also did. It suffocated and throttled the life out of my life. And so I hit a glass ceiling at which I could not go through because my coping strategy had me locked in concrete. You cannot thrive, for example, in your health, in your relationships, in your business, in your lifestyle, if your modus operandi is control, because it is the antithesis of life itself. Because life is fluidity, change, dynamic, evolution, right? So that's how a coping strategy can actually get you through, but it's going to create a problem at some point in time. Another common coping strategy I've seen is this. People grow up in environments where, for whatever reason, they decide it's better to not be seen and not be heard, and preferably to be as invisible as possible, and to also at the same time please people. Because if I am not seen, not heard, and I am somewhat invisible, I perceive I have less danger, there's less risk of problems, hurt, pain, judgment, rejection, or traumatic things. And then if I simultaneously do happen to get seen, heard, then I better please people, because if I please people, there won't be any backlash, there won't be any negativity, there won't be any problems. And this coping strategy of be not seen and please people, that keeps us caught in a survival loop. But here is the fascinating thing. It'll also get you results to some degree, because you're quietly going about your life, staying out of the way of other people, and you're pleasing everyone, and people love that. People love people pleasers. And so you can end up doing really well, at your job and different things in your life, because people like it, because you do everything they want you to do and you please them, and you don't say what you really feel and think, and you don't really ask for what you need and want. You just do the thing. You do the people pleasing, and you kind of stay out of the way. And it is a survival mechanism, and is also a strategy that can get you results to some degree, but it is not going to take you to thriving. Because if you suppress and hide yourself, how can that possibly lead you to thrive? Because when we please people at the expense of ourselves, that's not thriving, right? And so we see how, oh my gosh, I've got these coping strategies from when I was little, and I am running them in my adult life, and they have got me through. I love my younger self. I love my child self. What a smart little child that I was to come up with that strategy. Thank you, 5-year-old, 2-year-old, 10-year-old self, for developing that coping mechanisms that got us through safely. And here we are, still alive and breathing and kicking. And also thank you, survival coping mechanism, because you got me a certain degree of results in my life. And I'm grateful for that. But I need to bless and release you, because you have got me stuck now. I cannot go to the next level. I cannot evolve with you. Your season is done. Your time here is done. I need to let you go. I need to upgrade my software to a better mode of operating that is not a coping mechanism, but is a thriving tactic. I need a new way of being in the world that will support where I want to go next. I am no longer a child. I am no longer in that risk and danger. I am here to create my reality, one that is peaceful and joyous and happy and fulfilled and expressive and creative and magical. And that is not going to happen while I drag with me old coping mechanisms. So that's the first part of this mode of operating, is the coping strategy. But this is where it gets really interesting. There's a second part to our mode of operating, which is called your strong suit. Now I'm going to explain what this is, and then you're going to see how the two things, your coping strategies and your strong suit, how they hold hands and they play together, and they get you through, they get you stuck at the same time. Okay, they'll get you stuck at some point. You won't be able to go further. So the strong suit, this terminology I got from Landmark Education, because when I was really young, I was like about 19, 20 years old, I did a couple of Landmark Education programs. I found them to be very, very powerful. They created a real eye-opening shift for me. And inside of that, at the very beginning of my personal development journey, I learned about this idea of strong suits. So we have certain tendencies, capabilities, traits, and they're natural and innate, and we can lean on them as our strong suit. Okay? I'm going to give you examples of what they are in a moment. Now, if you lean on your strong suit, that's fabulous because it's going to help you with something that you're innately really good at. However, if you don't evolve your strong suit and become balanced in all the aspects of who you are, you will hit a ceiling in being able to get the success and results you want, or you'll be in that survival loop and not realizing why you can't break through, because we can't lean on just one thing. There'll always be areas of life which are prompting us, looks like triggering us, prompting us to become more holistically balanced. Okay. So your strong suit, think about your natural tendencies, your gifts, your skills, behaviors, things that you can lean on that you realize other people value it. You realize it's getting you praise and recognition or validation. You realize it's maybe the only area or the one area when where you're younger that makes you feel really good because you feel like it's something that you're accomplished in, or you feel there's flow to it. Okay. So I'll share with you what mine is, and then I'll give you some examples of other ones. My one was being organized. My strong suit has always been being highly organized. Now, I've seen for other people, it can be their intelligence. For some people, it's their humor. For other people, it's their level of athletic ability. For other people, it might be some aspect of their creativity. For other people, it might be their empathy, their compassion, their listening skills. There are certain things that we are just naturally good at. And when we get recognition for it and praise for it when we're little, or we realize that's when we feel good because those things give us a sense of being good at what we do, and it's like really natural and easy for us, then what we do is we tend to lean heavily onto it. Again, this will be very good for your survival, and this will also be very good for getting you results in life until it's not. Until you hit a ceiling or a point in your loop that you can't get out of. And if we don't stand back and look at our strong suit and loosen up our grip on that and start to look at how could I learn, heal, and grow and expand myself in other ways in order to elevate me, then what we do is we do a one-trick pony thing and we stay stuck in our strong suit, but it's actually not going to take us where we want to go. Why? Because what got you here won't get you there. Okay, and we are designed to be evolutionary creatures, to go to new places. Now, here is how the two things play together. If we all grow up and we develop coping strategies, and we also have a strong suit, and it's happening for all of us, then how are those two things playing together in a way that keeps us either in a loop of survival or just getting some results but not being able to seemingly go to the next level? We're struggling to level our life despite, doesn't matter what you do, how hard you work, whatever, there's something that's not clicking. Well, here's what it looked like for me. I shared with you that my coping strategy was control. If things don't feel good, I'm going to try to manage everything to keep a control on things because that makes me feel safe. Okay. And that control morphs into things like perfectionism. Now, if you marry that with someone whose strong suit is being highly ordered and highly organized, now you've got someone who wants to control and is highly organized. And what does it do? Highly organized is fuel on the fire for someone who's got control issues. And the two team up and start to run you, meaning run me, for decades, And the irony is this: that coping strategy of control and perfectionism, married to a strong suit of being highly ordered and highly organized, created survival and success in my life, particularly in my career, until it didn't. Until it was like, I am now unable to get any further in my life. I cannot evolve any further psychologically, emotionally, or spiritually. I cannot squeeze out any more results out of my career. I cannot improve my health or my money situation. I cannot do better in my relationships. I have hit my limit, because those two strategies, unconscious, subconscious, lifelong, running me from inside without me realizing it, they were not a match for me going any further than that. It's like a recipe. You add them together, there's only so much you can get out of it. Okay. And so in seeing that, where is the opportunity? I'm going to give you one more example in a minute from the other example I gave about what this looks like. But you want to look at it and say, okay, I need to release my coping strategy. I need to learn how to let go of control. Basically, I need to spiritually, psychologically, and emotionally evolve out of control. And that journey has been game changing for all the different aspects of my inner world, but also for my outer life. Okay. Control, like any coping strategy, you could insert any other coping strategy, it is going to throttle the life out of your life. But it looks like it's working because it feels right to keep you safe, but it can't take you anywhere else. Okay. And we're not here to loop inside survival and just feel okay and just try to feel like we're safe. We're here to play with life. Okay. And then if we to say I need to soften my coping mechanism, I need to switch it out for something else. Okay. I need to switch it out for something else. So I switched out control for trust and faith, and developed a whole spiritual vantage point for how I come at my life, where I realized I don't need to control everything. Okay, the second part being your strong suit, being highly ordered and organized is a strong suit. Isn't that fabulous? So great. Until you need fluidity, creativity, spontaneity, looseness, flexibility, adaptability. And your strong suit's not about it, because your strong suit's like, that sucks. I don't want to do that. I want to do highly ordered and highly organized. Well, you'll only go so far in your health, your relationships, your money, your finances, your lifestyle, anything you want, your business, if you don't loosen up on your strong suit and evolve it. And so it's not about letting go of your strong suit. It's about saying, it can't be my one and only way of being. I have to say, how can I use my strong suit to my advantage and also learn and evolve to become a more balanced human being, so that I can perform at a higher level. I can up-level myself and up-level my life. And so for me, that has meant stepping back and creating space inside a highly organized and highly ordered routine in order to allow intuition to come in, allow creativity to come in, allow a sense of softness, allow a sense of the divine feminine to come in, to balance out all of this very masculine, power, dominant, control, organized kind of energy being. Okay. Life is balance. Life does not like heavy pendulum swings to the yin or the yang or the masculine or the feminine. We are designed to be a flowing balance. So we will always not go to a new level or expand if we're balanced. So a lot of this is about balancing out. The other example I gave you earlier, and I'll show you how this plays together, a coping strategy and a strong suit, is this. If your coping strategy is the one I gave earlier, like, for example, not be seen, not be heard, and please people, because that's a survival mechanism, and then you run that into your adult life, and that still seems to work for you because you can avoid danger, avoid risk, avoid conflict, avoid loss, avoid heartbreak, avoid all sorts of things. Meanwhile, you realize now that you're avoiding life because you've got walls up and you're hiding, metaphorically hiding, right? And then if you team that with a strong suit of, for example, being very kind and being very empathetic and being a great listener, those skills as a strong suit are incredible. People love other people who are kind, great listeners, and empathetic. It will make you a stellar quality team member in your career or your business. It'll make you an amazing friend, an amazing partner. But if that is playing out and that is your sole strong suit, it can also make you vulnerable to other people being dominant over you, you not having your own voice. You team that with a coping strategy of pleasing people. Can you see how you become then tipped into a mode of operating which is imbalanced, and then you don't feel fully self-expressed and you don't feel like you've got a personal power if it's not rounded out? So you can get so far, but you can't seem to break through to the next level. And so it's very nuanced. And when you look at yourself, you can start to reflect on, well, what things did I struggle with when I was younger, and what were my ways of getting through? And if you do some journaling, you scratch below the surface, it doesn't take long to find it. What were your coping mechanisms or strategies for getting through, and how are those still your strategies, but you're using them for survival, and you don't want to survive, you want to thrive. So you've got to have a strategy that matches your vision and your outcome. And you can look at your strong suit and say, oh yeah, that is the thing that people say I'm really good at, and that is the thing that people really love about me, and that is the thing I got praise and validation for, and that is the thing that I lean on heavily. And how is that not working for me anymore? You just say that, how is it not working for me? So for me, I was like, how is being a perfectionist, highly organized person with control, how is that not working for me? It's very, very clear how it was not working for me. Okay, and so it's a reflection, and it takes a great deal of self-honesty to be willing to look and to be willing to admit that these things are running you as a mode of operation, not like you chose it. You didn't choose it. This is how it unfolds. And so you get to bring a new perspective to it, and you get to say, I don't want coping strategies anymore because I'm not looking to cope in my life. I've learned very well how to cope because I'm still here and I'm still alive, and I'm not really about that anymore. I think I've mastered that skill. Thanks very much. Got a PhD in coping. So let's move on to the University of Thriving and start our study. And what does it look like to thrive? What would my life look like if I were thriving? And what mode of operation do I need to be living from in my way of being that's a match for that? So instead of having a coping strategy, how about having a thriving tactic? My tactic for thriving is insert. And this way of being in the world will help me move towards an experience of thriving. And with regards to my strong suit, you can say to yourself, how is it no longer really working for me? And the nuance is this: it will always benefit you because it's your strong suit, but it also is your downfall. It's also your Achilles heel. It's also the part of you that holds you back. It's also the thing that's going to get a bit sticky for you at times. And so how can you loosen up on it, soften it, balance it out, use it to your advantage, but don't have it use you? So this is all just prompts to have you step back and look at yourself differently. Your life will change when you see things differently, when you see yourself differently, and you consciously choose the life you want and who you would need to be to experience that life, and you begin being that person now. You don't get to have this life and then you become someone because you got the life. You choose what you want as a life. You realize who you would have to be in that life to have that life. Then you begin being that now. And when we are running on coping strategies and imbalanced strong suits, we get a certain level of life. And there's nothing wrong with that life. It can be a very good life. And yet, if you yearn for more and you are putting in hard work and effort and nothing is happening, it's likely because this default mode of operating is running you, and it's not going to run you anywhere else but right where you stand until you make a change. So you could choose, if you wanted to, a brand new strategy, a brand new mode of operation, and you just pick one that resonates and feels right. Listen to your intuition. What does your intuition tell you you would need to make a change with about how you operate? Don't get caught up on these terms, coping strategy, and I have to figure that out from my childhood, and, this strong suit, I don't know what that is for me. Just recognize that you operate a certain way. Every day you're going about your day and you're running out certain patterns, and some of them are not working for you. And I've shown you some things about why those patterns exist, where they come from, how they helped you in the past, how they've gotten you to a certain point, and how they will keep you where you are at. Not because you're not smart, and not because you don't deserve more, and not because you're not capable, just because this is how we function as human beings. So, right, here we are. In our human meat suits, doing the thing called being human. Beautiful souls incarnated, figuring out what it is to be human. And then we wake up and we go, oh, this is what's running me. That sucks. Let's not do that anymore. How do I make a shift? And there is an opportunity inside of this to say, well, I have been being run by my childhood. I have been being run by my default way of operating. And today, I'm choosing to tune into my soulful self, my most authentic, free, fully self-expressed, divine, powerful self, who is always in existence and is the reason you are living and breathing. And then you've just got lots of mind noise and emotions and stuff going on. But below all of that is always your authentic, very powerful, ever-present, strong, thriving, soulful self who wants to get in the driver's seat of your life and who wants to evolve your strong suit to something even greater, and who wants to ditch that coping strategy set right now and to introduce a new way of being. That's why I love spirituality, because it puts you in touch with an aspect of yourself that is far beyond all of these psychological and emotional patterns that we run. We can draw a lot of power, a lot of healing, a lot of strength, and a lot of very tangible outer change in our life by connecting into who we are as souls and our soul power and getting ourselves into alignment with that. So I hope this has given you plenty of food for thought to understand how you function. If you need more help with this, come over and visit me, www.bernadettelogue.com. In late September, I'm going to be opening Soul Odyssey, the mentorship. It includes a program, weekly live group coaching calls with me, community. It's amazing. If you are interested in having help with all the kinds of things that I've talked about today and that I talk about on the podcast all the time, go to bernadettelogue.com/waitlist and add your name and email, and you'll be the first to know. I will contact you as soon as the doors open so that you have first option to get involved if it's something that resonates, you want more help from me. Alternatively, another pathway for you right now is that you can go to www.bernadettelogue.com/class and participate in my free 2-hour masterclass for you to come to understand and see the truth of who you really are, the foggy paradigm that is running us, and what wants to create and blossom through you and in your life. It's going to give you a more foundational and holistic viewpoint. We've zoned in really tightly on two things going on in our unconscious, and that's going to zoom you back out and see the big picture of who you are in your life to equip you with understanding and perspectives. When we see things differently, life can change. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. I'm excited to share more with you. I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to Practical Spirituality with B. I'll talk to you next episode for more spiritual advice for your everyday life, helping you align with your soul so you can live with purpose, fulfillment, and magic.